Hey, you're listening to Taking Back Monday. My name is Alyssa Nolte,
And I'm Eric Nehrlich.
and we are going to get right into it. Eric, tell us, what is your origin story?
So my origin story is Christmas Day 2011. I've been looking forward to this day for weeks, actually months, because I've been working incredibly hard. I've been working 100-hour weeks. At the time I was working at Google, I was trying to earn a promotion. I was told, get everything done. Here's all this work to do. And if you just get it through it all, if you exceed expectations, you're going to get that promotion. And so I pushed it. I'm like, I'm working 8 a.m. to midnight every day. I'm working weekends. I'm just doing everything I can. Anything anybody asks of me, I'm like saying, yes, I can do that. I will deliver no matter what it takes. I'm going to make it happen. In my head, I'm like, I just have to get through till Christmas because then I've hit the end of the year. Annual planning will be done. I can relax. So I get through to Christmas. I'm like, I'll get to have my family. It's going to be great. I wake up Christmas morning with a 103-degree fever, and my body just collapses. Like, I basically don't get out of bed for a week. And it was miserable. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? And I didn't have a good answer to that because my whole life had been, what's the next milestone to hit? Get the next job, get the next promotion. It's the conveyor belt of go, 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 get to college, get the job, get the promotion, up, 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 always what's next. I never asked myself, why? Why do I want that next promotion? What's in it for me? What's going to be different for me if I get that promotion? And I'd also never asked myself, what's the cost? Like, what am I giving up for that promotion? But lying in bed that week, for whatever reason, I finally asked myself that question, like, do I even want this promotion? Is this worth it to me? And the surprising answer was no, it was not worth it to me. I went into the office in January, in my first one-on-one with my manager. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. And they said, what does that mean? Like, I'm not working that hard anymore. It's not worth it. And they said, I don't understand. This is your job. And I said, well, I'm not going to work that hard anymore. And they said, okay, well, if you can't do the work, I'll find somebody that can. And you're definitely not getting that promotion if you're not doing the work. I'm like, okay. And so they took away half my team, gave it to somebody else. They slashed my performance rating. And that was terrifying. That was the first time in my life I had said no to an authority figure. First time in my life I'd said, no, I can't do what you're asking of me. I'd always been the gold star achiever that exceeds expectations. And it felt terrifying and disorienting for a few weeks probably. And then I was like, wait, I'm still getting paid, but I'm working 40 or 50 hours a week instead of 100 hours a week. I can see my friends. I can have a life. I can go on a bike ride if I want to. This is a totally different life. And that's my origin story, because I realized that I had a choice. I could do what I wanted to do with consequences. I mean, it's not like I got to keep the promotion and work less, but there were consequences. But if I was willing to accept those consequences, I could make different choices.
I believe firmly that the universe puts these conversations into my path because I'm having almost the same parallel conversation with myself, right? And this whole idea of, is it worth it? Are we doing this for the right reasons? Am I willing to do what it takes for this outcome? And having to be the one who makes that choice, not necessarily just letting the world make those choices for me. Because I too, very high achiever. I used to tell people that I was one of those people that the next words out of my mouth were always, "What's next? What's now? Let's go." And
Mm-hmm.
for some people, that can be really obnoxious because I never rest in the moment of victory. I'm always on to the next thing we're trying to
Yep.
achieve. And so I relate to that so strongly. And I'm in that moment right now where there's a fork in the road for me, and I can make a choice. And one choice is absolutely killing myself to try to make something happen, and the other choice is doing something that I really enjoy, but maybe isn't the most exciting or impressive or the thing that's going to get me that, TED Talk slash keynote slash whatever, you're trying to get.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting here and nobody is going to make the choice for me. And I've been sitting here waiting for a couple months, waiting for someone to make that choice for me. And I finally realized literally yesterday, I have to actually make a choice right now.
Mhm.
I don't get to wait for someone else to do it for me. I have to either decide to do it or not. And so I resonate so much with your story right now.
Yeah, and I think it's very easy for people like you and me to wait for other people to make that choice because they will give us opportunities. I mean, that's what kind of ruined me at Google was I had it was a situation where I did work. I did good work when I got there. They're like, "Great. You're doing that well? Here's some more. Oh,
Yep.
you're doing that? Here's some more. Oh, you're doing that? Here's some more." And I had never been in an environment where they gave me more work than I could handle. So I had never learned to say no. It's like, it sounds ridiculous. I'm like, whatever, in my late 30s at this point, and I'm like, I've never learned to say no. And yet, so because I'd always been like, well, I'll just kind of see what people offer me, and if that sounds interesting, I'll go after it. And that's I just kind of drifted through life, waiting for opportunities to appear in front of me, and then go after what was in front of me. And this experience I had was where the first time I'm like, no, I'm gonna make some more conscious, intentional choices about what do I want from my life at this point in time. Um, and I think it's a really hard choice because it's like the great part about waiting for other people to tell you what to do is if it doesn't work out, you can blame them.
Right.
Oh, it's my mom's fault for making me go to college. Oh, it's this manager's fault. It's somebody else's fault. I don't have to take responsibility for my life because I'm doing it for other people. And it was really scary and still is really scary for you to say like, no, I'm doing this for me and I will take the consequences and I will take the responsibility for that choice. So I wonder if any of that resonates with.
It does. And one of the other things that I was thinking about as you were talking was I used to wear the ability to handle more than any other human being as a badge of honor. I got
Mhm.
such a rush of people being impressed by all of the stuff that I was doing and saying things like I don't know how you do it all and all of those things and like I didn't realize in the moment that I enjoyed that like disbelief that people had and how amazing and incredible and successful and talented I was at,
Mhm.
being busy.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of, like, reflection to say, "Okay, I really didn't want to be busy. I wanted to be a martyr as a personality trait of all of these amazing things that I could do, and I was incredible, and I was talented, and I was so much better than everybody else because I could balance everything and they couldn't." And I
Yeah.
remember literally telling people, like, "Oh, yes, work the best 70 hours of my week," and I meant it, like, unironically. And,
Yeah.
like, but, like, people in our society and in our culture were impressed by that, and it was a
They
positive
celebrate it.
thing.
They're
It's
like, "This is
celebrated.
amazing."
I know. And so I got such a dopamine rush out of, like, people celebrating me for literally making myself sick because I used to have the same thing that you would have in December, where
Mhm.
it's almost like my body knew I had a 2-week stretch where I was gonna be able to take a break. It's like, "Alright, now we can do all of that sickness we've been holding on to because we haven't really
Yes.
been allowed to do it now. But here's our window." So I would always get sick. My downtime was like the second or third week of December. I would
Mhm.
always be deathly ill, like on my deathbed every single
Yeah.
December. And got to the point where I was like, I'm missing all of my good family time. And I have kids now who are doing Christmas and mommy's in bed sick and
Mhm.
I'm missing out on all of these things. And for what?
Mm. Yeah. For the sake of an identity that's like, I'm the one that can do it all. I'm
Yeah.
the special one. I'm the person that can handle whatever this is.
Yeah.
Um, and how old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
They are now 6 and 10.
Okay.
When this was all happening, though, I mean, my little was a newborn. He was, like, between ages of, like, 1 to 3. I
Mhm.
spent way more time working. I went back to work at,
Mhm.
like, 6 weeks because I was desperate to get back to my desk.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, like, there's a lot of things that I missed out on his first 3 years because mommy was a badass, and she was gonna go she was gonna have it all, and I
Mhm.
missed out on a lot of his first 3 years for that reason.
Yeah, and I mean, there's good reasons to do that also. Like, I don't wanna, like, I've always I want to be clear, like you were a badass at work and you were doing a lot of great things. And like, there's great things to that also, especially in our society, which
Yeah.
has certain tendencies. It's great for kids to see that their mom works and that
Yeah.
work is important to mom. And it's not just, oh, mom's going to stay home and take care of the kids and dad's going to go to work. Like that is, so you're setting a different model.
Right.
And you're also setting the model like, I got to work until I make myself sick. And
Well, it got to the point where there was one night where I had another child and she was
hmm
probably like 2. She was sitting
hmm
in my office and it was like right before bedtime and she has a little like toy laptop. And I'm sitting at
hmm
my computer and I'm working and she's sitting over in the corner, she's clacking away on her laptop. And I look over and I say something like, "Okay, Charlotte, we got to go." And she goes, "Mommy, I am in a meeting and you need to be quiet." And I was like, "Oh my God, you have heard me say that to you." Like it was like
yeah.
looking in a tiny mirror, and I think that maybe was my origin story of like, "Oh my God, like, I do want you to see me as a badass entrepreneur who's building, interesting businesses, but
hmm
not at the expense of, like, you think that this is how the world is and that there's no choice in it." And that's what it comes down to me. Like, if you wanna be a
Yeah.
stay-at-home mom, yes, if that's your
hmm
choice. If you wanna be a badass at work, yes, if that's
hmm
your choice. And it goes back to your origin story, right?
Yeah.
That you were making the choice to not be a 100-hour a week person, that you were
hmm
making the choice to do what everyone else was doing, which was work 40 to 50. It's not like you were asking to
Yeah.
work 10.
Yeah. Yeah. It, there's all these choices that people make, but they just make them unintentionally and unconsciously because it's the way they've always done things. And one of the things I try to do now as a coach is help people realize they have these choices. They're like, "Oh, I'm stuck. I can't do anything different. Well, my manager's asking this of me. My company needs me to do this." And it's like, yeah, they are asking it of you, but you don't have to say yes. And they're like, "Well, if I say no, what's going to happen?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know the full consequences." But let's be honest about what it's costing you in this moment. That you're exhausted, that you're burned out, that you're struggling, or it's costing you time with your family. Um, I have a similar story of when I actually left corporate life myself. Was so I've been working. So I actually stayed at Google after burning out and found a way to balance things a little better. And well, I guess it was another 6, 7 years I was at Google in a job I actually found that was fulfilling, and I kept my boundaries better and so forth and so on. But then I had my first child, and doing my job while at work was going to mean I was going to start missing out on the things you're talking about in those early years. And I'd already been exploring coaching for myself at that point for a year or two. And I was debating, like, am I really like, does this make sense for me to like leave the high paying, secure,
Right. And
job?
and let's be honest, impressive, like, I don't know how many people on LinkedIn have X Google, X Salesforce, X whatever in their
Yeah.
headline as, again, a badge of honor.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, Google chief of staff, running the search ads business,
Right.
like it was an impressive title, a lot of money. And I was like, does this make sense to walk away from that to do some fly by night self-employed thing when I have my first kid? Like, shouldn't I be providing for my family? Shouldn't I be providing the security and the financial security? Um, and two things I should say here. One, my wife works at Apple, so we're fine. We have one big secure salary in the family, so it would be easier to make that choice. But at the time, I had a coach myself, and she asked me, "It's like, is that the example you want to set for your son? That it's better to work all the time for the sake of money at a job that doesn't fulfill you? Is that what you want?" And I was like, "Ow, don't do that. That was mean." That was the essence of it. It's like it's especially when you have kids, it's you don't realize how much you're role modeling what the way to approach the world in every interaction. And you told a great story of it. So it's it's but I guess I want to say that even if you're not a parent and listening to this, you are still role modeling for everybody around you the behavior you want in the world. If you're a manager, people are looking at you. If you're a leader, people are looking at you and they're saying whatever that person is doing is what's right. It's the right way to behave in this environment. And even if you're not a manager, even if you're not a leader, if you're a person that sets boundaries and shows you can still get work done in 40 hours a week and not work 80 hours a week, your coworkers are going to notice that. Like, whoa, how did they do that? What's going on there? And that's something I find so fascinating now is that like we can all be a role model. We can all be a leader just in how we show up every day, every interaction, every moment.
There's a ton in there that I want to kind of double click on. One, I think the importance of, in the same way that my daughter held up a little mirror to me and I, saw something that I didn't like, your coach did the same thing because sometimes you can't see yourself clearly, right? Especially
Mhm,
when we tell ourselves these stories, we create these narratives around who we are and what we value and what our identity is. And for a lot of us Americans, that is wrapped up in what we do. It's the first thing that when you go to any kind of event, so what do you do? Right. And I've made a
mhm,
conscious effort to not ask that question.
yeah,
Instead, I ask people what they're working on. So, hey,
mhm,
Eric, what are you working on? And sometimes they'll tell me about their work, and sometimes they'll tell me
mhm,
about like an art project or something that they care about
yeah,
individually. Because I found myself only really asking the question and caring about who people were when they first caring about them as employees, but then
mhm,
second caring about and then later caring about them as people. And I'm like, okay, we can't do that. We can't do that. But
mhm,
it is my hypothesis, I guess, that our leadership, the people that are role modeling for us, or if we are leaders that are role modeling for our employees, that
mhm,
we have the obligation, the mandate, the power, whatever word you want to use, to create environments for our employees in which they can be great team members, which they can have a fulfilling work life, which they can come to work on Monday fulfilled and excited to be there and not necessarily like the Sunday scaries that a lot of people
mhm,
get where they just dread work. So
mhm,
when you're thinking about great leaders that you've seen or tactics or conversations that you've had with your coaches,
mhm.
how do we as leaders create environments where people actually can high perform because they are excited to be there and they're happy to be there?
There's no one path. I think that I mean, like, I guess what I'll say is, like, you can find that you can sorry, let me just there's a lot of different ways to be that kind of leader. There are some people who are in the stage that you were before, where it's like, I'm excited to spend 70, 80, 90 hours a week working. That's what I wanna do. Like, I am my best self at work, and there are people and, like, I've been that person. You've been that person. Like,
Yep.
I am a superhero at work. I can do it all, and that's really satisfying and really fulfilling. And if you have no other obligations, like, why not put your time into something that's going to give you, like you said, the dopamine, the achievement, the skills, the recognition? Like, that's great. And then the leaders that model that and say that's who we are at this company, that's fine. But that company's not for everybody. And there's other companies that feel like, no, we're going to work 40 hours a week, and we're going to work hard when we're here, and we're going to like take off at the end of the day, and we're going to have a life outside of work, and that's great too. There's no one right way to do this. All I want people to recognize is that these are both choices and to make those choices consciously and intentionally. And so, like, a lot of times I'm talking to people, they're like, well, where should I work next? I'm like, let's talk about what you want out of work, out of life. What helps you be your best self? And then people don't like, and that's, one question I ask is like, what's something you're really proud of in your last, 5 or 10 years? Something that you're excited about, something you still tell people about as a great thing. Okay, how do we get more of that? Let's figure out what are the conditions that allow that to happen. That's what I think I want people want. That's what I sorry, to your point about like people doing their best work, that's what I want for
Yeah.
them. How do we create the conditions where they can do that kind of work? And that's going to be different for different people. Some people really love the grind. Some people really need lots of downtime to be creative and innovative. And all I ask leaders to do is be clear about what they expect from people. Like say, this is what it takes to succeed here. And if
Yeah.
that's a good fit for you, that's fine. There's going to be someplace else where you are a good fit.
Right. Give them the ability to opt in or opt out and to know what they're opting in or opting out of. Right. Because
Yes.
a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I've come across leaders who will be a little bit cagey about it. Like they'll
Hmm.
say one thing, but their actions actually totally drive a different behavior. And
Yes.
you just want to shake them and be like, it's okay to just be who you are. Like own it.
Yeah.
If that's the way if that's what it takes to succeed here, if sitting at your desk to be randomly called anytime between 8 and 5 is
Hmm.
what the expectation is, Own that. Don't sit here and
Yeah.
pretend like, oh, we're a flexible workplace and we can go do, if you have to go pick up
Yeah.
your kids, whatever, but then you get punished when you have to pick up your kids at 4:30. That's
Yeah.
like not, and people will start to pick up on that and be frustrated by that. There are two things that I want to follow up on. Number
Yeah.
one, I love the idea of trying to look back and think about like, okay, what are the highlights of my last 10 years, and how do I make a highlight reel that is my future, right? Less
Hmm.
highlights or more highlights, less bloopers, less filler,
Yep.
that kind of stuff. I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's so important. But if someone is listening to this and they are having a mirror moment in the way
Hmm.
that you did with your coach and I did with my daughter,
Hmm.
what the heck should they even do next? Like, what is the one thing you would have them, finish this podcast, then turn it off, and then do what?
So the first thing I would suggest is doing what I would call an energy audit. Throughout your day, throughout your week, maybe at the end of each day, even just look back at your day and say, like, what did I spend my time on today that energized me, that like made me excited, that made me give me a spark of life? And what did I spend my time on today that was draining, that was like, oh my God, if I have to do this a lot more, I don't know what I'm going to do. Um, and the people that having the mirror moments where they're really frustrated, it's probably going to be like 20% energizing, 80% draining in their day. And that's a recipe for disaster. Cause like, when are you getting energized? Cause if you're working too much, then time in the evenings to energize yourself. Um, so I'd ask those people to then take a moment to think about, like, what are the things that energize me? What are the things that allow me to recharge? Maybe that's alone time if you're an introvert. Maybe that's time with people if you're an extrovert. Maybe that's um, deep skill development. Like, oh, I really want to get good at this thing. Or maybe it's like serving other people. It's purpose, it's impact. Whatever it is, figure out what motivates you or what energizes you, and try to find a way to get a little more of that in your life each day.
Mm.
And if you can do even just a little bit, like even 20 or 30 minutes of something that energizes you, can change your whole day. If you do it intentionally and you can build on it, so you do a little more energizing stuff and a little less draining stuff, and you keep doing that step by step over the course of weeks and months and years, eventually you can find your way to a pretty amazing life. And that's the advice I give. It's like, it's not standard career advice. It's not like, here, if you want to be a VP of finance and this is the path you go, chick, 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 and go down the milestones. I don't believe in that, because I've had a very unconventional career path. I've wandered all over the place. I've had 4 different careers at this point. But what's worked for me is to continue seeking out things that energize me. And if I have more energizing things and less draining things, and that's what I found at each step of the way, I've gotten to a pretty good place.
Thinking about all of the incredible people that you know or aspire to know, who else should we be listening to? Who is leading the charge?
I'm not gonna. I can't come up with a specific person, but what I think I want to say is, like, people that are energized, that have spark, that find joy in their lives, because they're in touch with something that many of us forget in our working lives. It's not just obligation. It's not just, I have to do this, I must do this. There's something that we forget about, that there is joy in doing something, or joy in serving others, joy in having purpose. And if you see other people like that, watch them, be with them, learn from them. Because if we can nurture that spark of joy in ourselves, and we all have it, it may be buried under 20 years of commitments and obligations, but it's in there, I promise. Then we have a chance to nurture that in ourselves. And on that point, like, having kids is a great way to do that, because kids have a lot of joy. And it's really easy to shut them down. I do it myself. I'll be honest. Like, I'll be like, oh, we have to get to the next thing. We gotta get to see. Go, go, go. And it's like, they're just trying to show me the Lego they built. Let honor that joy, even for 5 seconds, before I push them on to the next thing. So honor joy, I guess, is what I would say.
And if someone is really connecting with you, they've had a mirror moment, or they, are drawn to your spark, where can they find you online?
I am mostly on LinkedIn, Eric Nehrlich, Nehrlich. But if that's too hard to spell, look up toomanytrees.com. That's my coaching site, and it links to my newsletter, it links to LinkedIn, links to everything I do. So those are the 2 places to find me online.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on Taking Back Monday. Hopefully, this was just as inspiring for our audience as it was for me.
Thanks, Alyssa. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the conversation.
Thanks for joining us on Taking Back Monday, where we say goodbye to the Sunday scaries and hello to meaningful and fulfilling work. If you enjoyed today's episode, let's connect on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found value here, share the podcast with your network. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us inspire more leaders to join the movement. Until next time, let's take back Monday.